When I assumed office 20 months ago, our country was facing tremendous economic challenges. The cost of essential household commodities, high fuel prices, rapid depreciation of the Kenya shilling, and spiraling public debt were threatening our economy. My administration has worked hard and consistently so that today the prices of essential commodities like unga have 40 shillings for a 2-kilogram packet to Kenya shillings 100, majorly attributed to our fertilizer, the resilience of our farmers, and good rains that were given to us by God. During the period, fertilizer also from 7,500 to 2,500. Petrol prices have come down from a high of 217 to now 187. The shilling has strengthened against the dollar from a high of 165, 127, 128. We have made significant progress in pulling the nation back from the brink of debt distress. Is better managed, and our budget now has space for investment and in programs aimed at easing the hardship on and creating opportunities for our young people. Our GDP grew by 5.6% last year, among the 27 fastest growing economies in the world. Our inflation figures have fallen from a high of 9% last year to 5% in April this year. It is instructive for the nation to know 100 shillings we collect as taxes, we spend 61 shillings in debt service. We have paid Kenya's Eurobond debt that was borrowed in 2014 of $2 billion that are our neck. We paid the last installment of $500 million last week. Today, Kenya's debt burden is much less, more sustainable, poised to redeem our country from the discomfort of debt and assert our sovereignty. Early this year, Treasury had proposed 0.18 trillion. I did direct that it be reduced by 200 billion to come down to 303. The Finance Bill 2024 generated to actualize this budget underwent, which resulted to concessions by which we agreed to drop proposals on VAT on bread, motor vehicle circulation, VAT on locally manufactured diapers and sanitary pads, as well as excise duty on money transfer services, among others. The additional tax measures we had proposed in this year's finance bill were to raise money in 346 billion. When the concessions were made, subsequent to public participation by Parliament, that came down to 200 billion. I had made, taking into account our situation and the priorities that are there, I of Parliament seated behind me, and those who voted yes, for identifying our nation. Because when I made the proposals with my cabinet we had certain critical priorities for the nation. Number one is our agriculture. We did make recommendations. Money we were going to raise from the finance bill was 10 billion shillings that will go to fertilizer subsidy, 18 billion shillings that would go to making sure that junior secondary school teachers, 46 of them, 46,000 of them would be confirmed on permanent and pensionable basis. We are very clear in our minds that education being the greatest, no child in Kenya should go to a school where there is no teacher or where. It is because of that reason that in this finance bill also we had committed extra 20,000 teachers. We also had envisioned, because of the program of last mile connectivity to homes, especially in rural areas, we had committed 50 million for every constituency for the last mile connectivity. Because that there are many people who today cannot go to hospital because they have no health insurance. We had committed 6 billion shillings to operationalize our universal health that would make it possible for every citizen to have a health insurance, those who cannot afford to be paid for, and to also operationalize the chronic illness fund. It's possible for those who suffer from cancer, diabetes, hypertension, to be able to go treated and go home without being asked for any money. We also had to put in money for our coffee farmers to retire the heavy debts that are bedeviling our coffee farmers. We also had allocated money for our sugarcane farmers, sure that our sugarcane farmers get out of the debts that they're in. We had also committed to our milk farmers to make sure that every farmer is paid a minimum of 50 shillings per litre. That these farmers, very hard-working citizens of our nation, get a fair return and for feeding our nation. And that is why I commend these members of parliament for agreeing with us that all the priority areas I have mentioned were the to be funded. And by so doing,